It is White History Month. White History Month. And at our church service yesterday, I brought it up. And there were several people there who thought it was very, very interesting. We had a very good discussion about White History Month. And I have with me Max. Max is an Italian-American man and a volunteer who worked with homeless. And he is a new member of the Bond Church. And so yesterday I brought up White History Month, and it was very, very interesting, his response to it. So I asked Max to come on this morning, and let's have a brief discussion about that. Thank you for coming in, man.
Thank you for having me.
I totally, absolutely appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And so we talked about White History Month yesterday. What's your feeling when you first heard that I had started July as White History Month? What was your first impression about it?
It blew my mind. It was interesting to see, and I actually showed it to others, and it was shocking. We've never had that before.
Yeah. And why was it shocking? You know, we have Black History Month, we have Homosexual History Month, we have Women History Month, we have Japanese and Mexican and Chinese History Month. But whenever white history is discussed, it's always in a negative, it's always a put down.
Yeah.
And it was white folks who built this great nation. If it wasn't for white people, there would be no American. There would be no POCs here in this country, people of color. And yet, white history is not discussed in a positive way. Why is that?
I don't think it needs to be discussed. It already is. And if you ask a lot of different types of people from different cultures and races, there's no need for a White History Month.
Do you feel that way too?
You know, it's nice to see from another race that they want to celebrate White History Month and implement that.
Right.
It's interesting. It kind of shocked me at first, but I don't think that we actually need a White History Month.
And why not?
You know, that's a good question. I think just the way the country has been founded and the groundwork and everything that's been put out, it's already embedded into our country. We don't need to, I'm going to be blunt, we don't need to shove it in other people's faces.
What do you mean by shove it in their faces?
Well,
when we discuss White History Month, white history is a reminder of where we came from. It allows us to appreciate the country even more so. Why shouldn't we? It's like 4th of July, right? Is a reminder of the birth of the nation. Why shouldn't we be reminded? We are not reminded. The average black person or person of color have no idea about how America came about today.
I think through history, though, America was founded, to be blunt, on a bed of racism and bringing slaves over and using them to create this nation in the beginning, and that is from what we learn in class, and
But that's false history, though. They didn't bring slaves over. The Arabs sold slaves. They bought them from other black people in Africa, and they sold the blacks around the world, not just white folks didn't just go over there and say, hey, we need to build a country called America. Let's go to Africa and get some black folks and bring them back. Yeah. That didn't happen that way.
Well, that's what we've been taught.
See, that's the problem, and that's why white Americans are afraid to talk about white history, because they've been lied to about how all this came about.
When you brought it up, it was the 1st of July, and I was watching the show, and it shocked me. And I showed it to friends, and it shocked them too.
Right.
I have a couple black friends as well, and they were kind of, they didn't know how to react to it. It was one of them said it was a little bit of a slap in the face. So
in the black's face?
Correct.
In black faces? Why was there a slap in the face?
they told me there was no need to have a White History Month. It just is. We don't need it. And I see that point of view.
But I don't, though. I can't see it at all. So, again, help me to understand. So, is there a need to discuss Black history?
I think it's nice to respect and discuss and appreciate all cultures from around the world.
But how about Black history? Is there a need to discuss?
Absolutely.
Is there a need to discuss women's history?
Sure.
Homosexual history?
Yes.
Chinese and Mexicans history?
Yes.
But not white history?
We can discuss white history.
Is there a need to?
Sure. How about this?
But
Implement it through the government and see what others around the world think.
Implement what through
Instead
the government?
of saying that it's White History Month.
Right.
So I'm in agreement with you
I know.
with a lot of things.
Right.
But instead of saying it's White History Month, put it out there, get feedback from others across the world, and see how they feel.
But I don't care what the people across the world feel. I just care about my country and what we feel. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I don't care what the people across the world feel. And so are you surprised at this reaction about white history? It's like Americans have gone to sleep when it concerned America and white folks. And then all of a sudden a black man bring it up. Hey, we're now celebrating July as White History Month from now on. It's like an awakening. It's like a shocker. Isn't that like weird?
It is weird. It was weird when it came out. So
how do you feel about that now as we speak, discussing it?
if we were to go out in the streets and have posters and flags and celebrate White History Month that way, I'd like to see the reaction of others.
Right.
We haven't done that.
Well, this is brand new.
Yeah.
We're now coming back to reality.
As long as there's good intent behind it,
Yeah.
and there's love and respect, I'm all about respecting others and loving others, no
Right.
matter what race we are.
That's right.
And so if White History Month means to give out love and respect and always being good and having good inside, then I'm all for it.
I'm for it, Bob, because I want to say thank you to white Americans for creating the greatest country on this side of heaven.
And I want to say something to you. I want to thank you, and I want to thank all blacks across the U.S. for being cool, for providing awesomeness through sports, through culture, through creativity and arts. Black people have brought a lot to this world and a lot to the U.S., and it's nice that we're reciprocating that back and forth. We have to continue bridging our races together instead of dividing. I think the media is doing that right now. So by bringing up White History Month, I think it's a nice gesture, a token of gesture to whites, and we need to do it back to blacks. So we have to continue bridging each other together.
White, black people, not all, black people are very destructive. Over the last 60 years, they have not built, they have destroyed. I don't know, and maybe you can name a community or area or town or country or something that majority of blacks dwell in, and it's a beautiful place, safe place, an amazing place to go. You know, they destroy neighborhoods, they destroy one another, they destroy schools when whites move out. They move into a white community, right, that's really beautiful and nice. And then when the white people leave, it turns into a ghetto. I don't know of any time when black people have voted, majority have voted for a good, decent man or woman. They don't represent anything good. Is that true?
You know, I can't talk on that, to be honest.
But think about it and just name me somewhere, some place or some location that's controlled by blacks when we come back from this break.
No problem.
My guest Max is here, and he is a member of the Bond Church yesterday and hopefully forever. And we talked about white history, and it was so interesting. And I've been getting this reaction out in the streets when as a matter of fact, I was on the plane going up to Las Vegas over the weekend for the family reunion, and one of my cousins who would travel with me, and a white lady sat between us on the plane, and I said to her, "Happy White History Month. Are you celebrating White History Month?" She's like, "No, is this a joke?" I'm like, "No, it's no joke." She could not believe that we were celebrating White History. She was as stunned as you and your friends are. And I think that's pretty sad that whites are afraid to celebrate white history and blacks are reacting to it. Not all, but in a negative way. Do you find, Max, that is weird that there was a sense of fear about doing it?
I think it's a normal reaction to have a sense of fear behind celebrating White History Month.
You think that's normal?
Absolutely.
Why is
As a white person,
Why is it normal?
it's not customary. We've never been used to that, and I don't know. I mean, it's just. I mean, I'm sure that your listeners and viewers will agree as well. It's just not. It's not a normal reaction. We won't. It's not like I got out of bed and I started running the streets celebrating. It was awkward. It didn't feel comfortable.
Wow. And I think it is because white people have been intimidated for so long. They've been called racist. They've been called the devil. They've been called everything.
Agreed.
And white people have not stood up for themselves. They've cowered down, and they're so afraid. And now to have to speak up is hard to do it.
There's evil and good in all people.
That's right.
So the ones that are evil in white, black, Asian, Mexican, whoever it is, and they go out and they do evil things, whoever they're doing it to can call them racist on whatever platform that is. So,
Yeah.
for example, if a Hispanic were to do something evil to a white person, that white person would go and call that person racist. That's just how things have been going. Mexican to black will call that person racist. So I think that in history, especially hundreds of years ago, whites unfortunately have been doing more evil things to others.
Whites have?
In speaking for the foundation of this country, absolutely.
How
we founded this country
Right.
was on a bed of bringing people over
We didn't-
against their will.
They didn't bring them over, Max.
So the history books are lying?
Yeah. That's new history. That's revised history. When I was growing up, they were not teaching that, not even in the black schools. They told the truth. The Arabs brought them over and sold them, as they did in other parts of the world. And that's why blacks owned slaves in America too, because they were sold. Those were the days. That was the time. That was what's needed at the time. And so you've been lied to in your school, and that's why you're having a hard time with it.
That's what we've been taught.
Right.
So,
Isn't that amazing?
but it didn't just stop there. It continued on
What did?
through let's talk about the Jim Crow laws.
Right, let's talk about it. What about them?
You lived through it.
Right. And it was nothing like what you've been taught. I grew up, I remember, see my color fountain sign there?
Yeah.
For colors only signs. We were,
But Jesse, do you think that's right?
it's not right, but it's not racist. And it wasn't done by white people.
That's done through evil, being evil.
Right, but it was the government. It wasn't the white people. It wasn't.
But the government had most white people in it, 99%.
Right, but it was the government, and it was the Democrats who did that, who had Jim
Correct.
Crow law. It wasn't Republican white people. It wasn't all white people. And then under the Jim Crow laws, black people were not crying racism. They knew the government was wrong, but there were white people who didn't like it, black people
Correct.
who didn't like it, and they got along. They were not crying racism.
That's where the evil comes out. I agree with you on that.
You said something that was very interesting. Do you think Black History Month is about love?
I think it's about celebrating and appreciating one's culture.
Is it
In that situation, it's appreciating.
Is it about love?
Yeah, absolutely.
Black people don't love white people.
Nah, that's not true.
I have a video of it. I have a video of it.
That's not all.
No, right. Not all, but most. If you want to test if black people love white people or not, disagree with your friends about black people, about Obama. You'll see the hell come out of them. They will call you racist. Your best black friends will call you racist. You are not allowed to be an individual as a white man with your own black friends. You only can get along with them as long as you go along with them.
I think, and I'm going to be blunt again, I think sometimes, and it's going to be uncomfortable for one to hear this, especially a white person, the way white people act towards black people in their tone, in their candor, in their demeanor, in speaking, it doesn't mesh well. So it comes across as being pretentious. And that's where I think it's not hate, but it's a misunderstanding. And
give me an example.
I don't have a problem when I have a conversation with someone that's black, and I think it has to do with me being Italian, because I believe Italians and blacks, a lot of us, we get along with the same type of culture, the alpha.
You won't get along if you disagree with black people. If they knew,
there has to be a respect behind it.
If you went out and I don't know if you're for the Great White Hope or not, President Trump. If you went out and said to your black friends, President Trump is the Great White Hope, the greatest president ever. Obama was a sorry, poor, pitiful excuse of a man, and he didn't destroy the country, they would turn on you.
Because they're going to relate it to this, that I don't like Obama, me, as being white, because he's black, and I like Trump because he's white.
And is that your fault or theirs?
I think just the way society's created.
No, they are created that way. The blacks have been brainwashed, and they hate white people.
What about the media? I think the media is turning us against each other.
Right. Well, it starts in the home. Blacks are angry first because they hate their mothers, and they're yearning for their fathers. And then instead of telling them to forgive, they're being told that it's the white man. It's white. It's racism, which doesn't exist anyway. No such thing as racism. You said yesterday that we should, that white people want to be black. You remember saying that?
What I said yesterday was it's a cool thing to be black.
What's cool about being black?
What do you mean what's cool about being black?
Like,
we all know that.
Like, what's cool about being black?
I think the black culture has brought a lot of goodness, a lot of
like what?
Lot of coolness,
like
to our
gang
society.
violence and stuff.
No, I'm talking about art, sports.
Hold that thought. Can you stay and take some calls? Can you hang in there? Okay.
I think black people should be proud of being black. That's what I said.
What does it mean to be black?
Being black means being in.
In what?
In everything. In sports, in art, in all types of creativity.
But other than sports, and when you say art, do you mean like painting and stuff like that? What type of art?
I think black people are very creative people, and they brought a lot of goodness to
like
the U.S.
music and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Comedy.
Everything.
But other than that, they're not very creative. They don't create real stuff.
That's not true.
Tell me something that they create. Other than music, dancing, and singing, and running out the football.
Before Donald Trump, we had a black president.
But what did he create?
He created a lot of job opportunities.
Not true. Not true. The jobs disappeared to a point that full-time employees turned into part-times, and they had to get 2 or 3 jobs to even make it work.
This is my point. Is that either we need to lace up and go at it, all of us.
That's right.
Either lace up and go at it, or get together and bond together and move forward in a positive direction. Because there's a lot of bickering online.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps going back and forth, and nobody likes each other deep down inside. We need to change that.
But can we do that without being honest about what the real problem is?
We need to be honest, but we also need to be respectful too.
Right, but honesty without resentment is respectful.
We just need to continue complimenting each other and bringing the best out. Because if we want, we can continue on the path of speaking negativity and talking about what is wrong with each other all the time, which we've been doing for a long time, and look where we are now.
Right.
Or we can talk about the positive things and see where that brings us.
But we got to be honest about in the discussion, though, right?
That's correct.
So, other than music, dancing, and sports, tell me something black people have created in the last.
Well, there have been a lot of scientists. There have been a lot of engineers. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I have a book at home that's this thick about notable African American people. So you created White History Month, and my reply to you is thank you and thank the black people for what you've done for our society. And if we continue having this type of dialogue in a positive way with positive light, I think we can move forward in a different direction than we are right now. That was my point.
Oh, that's a good point. Do you resent white people?
Absolutely not.
Do you, Italians are considered white?
Not all.
So there are some Italians who are considered to be white people, and there are some who are not.
We're white when we have a lot of influence from Africa. The dialect that my parents speak from southern Italy has African language embedded into the dialect. So we're not white like German white or Finnish, but we are white, but we have a little bit of African in us as well.
Oh, okay. Who does the Italians, or do the Italians identify more with whites than they do blacks?
I think there's a lot of Italians out there, especially in the East Coast, and this is what the media portrays. Italians are prejudiced against blacks, and I find that disgusting because there's a lot of similarities between blacks and Italians. So it hurts me when I see and I hear, for example, Ari Spears, a comedian, black comedian, he had a skit where he was talking about Italians putting down blacks in his neighborhood. Not all Italians are like that, and I'm upset that he has that point of view, and a lot of blacks have that point of view where we go off and we have different names for blacks. But
we used to be, when boys were boys and men were men, we were able to joke about one another, about each race, and it wasn't a big deal. And now it's only good when people do it to white people. You can't tease about the blacks. You can't tease about the Mexicans and Italians. I mean, the Japanese and all them. But everybody dump on white people, and it's no problem.
I see your point on that.
Isn't that true?
I see your point.
Yeah. And so this is why we got to celebrate White History Month. Are you happy about White History Month, that we are doing it?
I think it's great.
Okay.
If you want to, implement that, I think it's great.
Thank you for coming in, man.
Thank you.
I absolutely appreciate it. We're going to have you back. That was fun.
Thank you.
Amazing! I need you all to subscribe, support us on Patreon, like us on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter.
Got it.